Poster-like first quarter in the markets. The Dow today down 31 points, the Nasdaq a fraction higher. First-time jobless claims spiking higher last week, up by 11,000. But planned corporate layoffs eased up in March, most of those hits coming in the retail sector and U.S. oil operations. McDonald's plans to add 1,000 more restaurants in China and hundreds more in Hong Kong and South Korea over the next 5 years. And the social networking app Snapchat striking a deal with pro wrestling powerhouse WWE to cover WrestleMania and other events live. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-495-2035. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-495-2035. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-495-2035.
O'Reilly. The weather's getting warmer, and that means it's time to start working on your yard. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up a Super Start Lawn and Garden Battery starting at $21.99. Springtime means yard work, so stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start Lawn and Garden Battery you can count on. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Good afternoon. It is 3:02. I'm Di Rice with the very latest in live, local, and national news here on KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Presidential candidates aren't playing partisan politics when it comes to Donald Trump's comments that women should be punished if abortion were to become illegal. Trump's Democratic rival Hillary Clinton tweeted, quote, "We can't let someone with this much contempt for women's rights anywhere near the White House," unquote. Republican Ted Cruz said the comments demonstrate once again that Trump, quote, "hasn't seriously thought through the issues," unquote. And the central U.S. is bracing for severe weather tonight. The same storm system that sparked deadly tornadoes in Oklahoma yesterday will bring major thunderstorms from Chicago to New Orleans. Heavy rain, high wind, and more tornadoes are possible. And here at home, a $22 million Super Lotto winner has stepped forward with his winning ticket. The man purchased $5 worth of Super Lotto Plus tickets at the Canyon Crest Town Center Donut Time Shop. The winner hit the jackpot in the March 5th drawing. Lottery officials say that the winner wishes to remain as anonymous as possible and not share any information about his big win. Donut Time's owners will receive $110,000 in bonuses. Inland Empire weather. It is a little bit breezy out there, but mostly sunny, warming trend into the weekend. Highs into the 70s, rising to about 80 degrees by Saturday and Sunday. And then a few clouds tonight with lows around 47 degrees. Currently 70 here in San Bernardino. Our high was 71 last hour. Checking out your drive through Rubidoux. The right lane is closed of the 60 eastbound right before Rubidoux Boulevard. That's due to a fuel spill, and traffic is backed up from Pedley Road. Other than that, stop and go through Corona, 15 northbound between Ontario Avenue and Magnolia. And then the southbound side is also slow from the 10 to 2nd Street. Through Moreno Valley, more stop and go, 215 northbound between Alessandro and University Avenue. And the southbound side is also slow in pockets from the 10 to the 60-91 split. This traffic report has been brought to you by Del Taco. It's time for beer battered fish tacos at Del Taco. Get 2 beer battered fish tacos for $4, available now at Del Taco. They're unfreshing, believable. Price and participation may vary. That is the very latest with news, weather, and traffic on the station that leaves no listener behind. KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
It's open season on KCAA. Open season with Larry Burnett and Mark Mancini. Sports guys dropping gloves, tackling issues, and swinging for the fences. Now, here's your host, Larry Burnett. And on 50. Open season is in the air, on the air, and darn near everywhere. In the news this week, finally, the Final Four. Whose net worth is going to skyrocket this weekend? We'll find out. You'll hear from former UConn coach Jim Calhoun and Phi Slamma Jamma great Clyde Drexler from Houston. In the pros, the Kobe countdown continues. Blake gets ready for a very important date. And Russell ruffles some feathers in the Lakers locker room. Oh, no! On the ice, the Kings try to jump the Ducks atop the Pacific. In baseball, the season openers loom, and there are still mucho question marks for the Dodgers and the Angels. All that, plus Clyde the Glide Drexler and Jim Calhoun here on Open Season, where our motto remains, if it's news in sports, it's news to us. Hi, everybody. I'm Larry Burnett, and this is Open Season coming to you from Houston, Texas, and Los Angeles, California today. I'm in Houston for the Final Four, and Eric Geller is joining us and holding down the fort in Southern California. Eric, a longtime radio vet who has covered the L.A. Kings and the Clippers, to name a few, and glad to have you with us, Eric. Welcome aboard.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me, Larry.
As I mentioned, you'll get over that in a big hurry on this program. Final Four, let's jump into it. Saturday at NRG Stadium here in Houston, Oklahoma versus Villanova, UNC taking on Syracuse, and of course they got the big final, the championship game on Monday night. What are you thinking, Eric? Who do you like?
Well, I saw that UNC front line, and they did a number on Notre Dame. Right now I have to go with UNC, but I like the way Syracuse played. And I think the kid's name is it Hyde, but he's a good ball player, and they have a shot. But ultimately, I just think that front line of UNC is just going to be too powerful for any of the teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, I look at that Oklahoma-Villanova game, and boy, it's a toss-up to me. I like the way Buddy Hield plays. I think he's probably the best player in college basketball right now. But I like the way Villanova plays defense. I mean, they beat Kansas. I mean, they're a team that gets after you, and they'll get you at three-quarter court. They'll get you at half court. They'll drop back, and it's tenacious D. I want to go with Oklahoma in that game, but if it's true that defense wins championships, Villanova could be the team to beat. So I'll wait until the end of the show to pick my winner in that one. North Carolina, listen. If they play their game and they're hitting their shots, I think they can win it all. But doggone that Syracuse team, they shouldn't even be in the tournament. And I think 9 out of 10 people, they don't belong in the tournament, but they're in and they're making the best of their run. And somehow Jim Boeheim has got them going out and beating teams that they have no right to beat. So I think UNC's the team right there to beat. But I wouldn't bet against Syracuse for some reason. I don't know why.
They're very scary. It's one of these teams that got hot at the perfect time, and yeah, they can make a run at UNC. But again, that front line is really tough, and Villanova as well. I agree with you. Defensively, they were pretty much stout against Kansas, and I thought for sure it would be Kansas and North Carolina. But yeah, Villanova definitely has a shot as well. But all 4 of those teams they're playing well at the right time. Although I think Oklahoma got a little bit fortunate because Oregon just didn't play after that game the night before. They just didn't play well against Oklahoma. But Oklahoma is rolling, and you've got 4 great teams in there for the Final Four.
Well, and it's interesting too, Eric, that most years there's 1 or 2 teams that really stand out. There's a Kentucky or there's a North Carolina. Or there's a UCLA, back in the old days.
Yeah.
It's like one of the widest open tournaments that I've seen in years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, I thought it would be Kansas and North Carolina, but yes, all those teams are incredible. What happened to the Pac-12, though? All those teams got eliminated except Oregon, and then Oregon didn't show up to play Oklahoma in the West Regional Final. But yeah, it was wide open, and Syracuse could end up, cutting down the nets.
That would be the most bizarre finish, I think, if Syracuse were to win it. But they've got a history of doing things like that. And you got a Jim Boeheim who was suspended for the first 9 games of the season. They didn't play well without him, and yet here they are, as we go into the Final Four weekend here in Houston. and they're right in that mix. And it's an interesting group of coaches too. And by the way, let me give our phone number. It's 909-888-5222. And Eric is kind enough to come in this week. Mark Mancini's still trying to work out some scheduling problems along the way, and we expect to have him back in coming weeks. Our number 909-888-5222. You look at Lon Kruger. The guy's had great success at a bunch of different schools. You look at Jay Wright, and his program is up, and then it's down, and then boom, they're right back in the Final Four. You look at North Carolina. They've had some NCAA problems, but Roy Williams continues to be consistent. And Syracuse has had some NCAA problems, and they go through the one and dones and everything else, and they're still in it. I think it's a really fascinating bunch of coaches in the Final Four right now.
It is, and they're all very successful coaches, obviously. So you need some good coaching, especially when you have young kids like that. And there's the proof of it in the Final Four. All those coaches are great. And I think Boeheim, he might be the best out of all four, although, you've got Roy Williams there. But they're incredible coaches. And it wouldn't surprise me, like you said, if Boeheim and the Orange come out with a win.
Oh, boy, that would be so annoying because when I worked at ESPN, I worked around a bunch of guys from Syracuse. And
they're all over the place.
Some of the most obnoxious winners I've ever dealt with in my entire life. And you mentioned Kansas too, and I think Kansas beat themselves. Listen. I think they got a lot of help, but I just thought they made a lot of mistakes that you can't make and be the NCAA champ.
Especially against a team like Villanova, because, like you said, defensively they're one of the better teams in the country. And Kansas did kind of beat themselves, but. The best teams are in the Final Four at this point, and the hottest teams at the right time are in the Final Four.
Yeah, and let's bring this back to a local angle here just a little bit. We saw USC make a little bit of a run, and now we see Andy Enfield has gotten an extension on his contract. On the flip side of things, we saw UCLA pretty well flop this past season, and there's Steve Alford giving back his one-year extension, kind of saying, I know I didn't get it done, I don't deserve it. I'm not sure which direction UCLA is going right now. I know they've got a good recruiting class coming in, but you'd have to give the advantage, I think, in Southern California right now to the Trojans.
Yeah, Enfield's got that team going, although they lost one of their guards to the NBA. He's leaving, and he's declared for the NBA draft.
That guy's transferring, too.
Yeah. The kid's name right now just completely escapes me. But as far as UCLA, I covered the game where they beat Kentucky. And they played incredible. I thought for sure this was a team that was going to be at the top of the Pac-12 and they were going to get into the tournament. But after they lost to the Trojans by double digits at Pauley Pavilion, they just went down the tubes after that. Completely surprised. And I wasn't too sure about Alford when they signed him the first time, and I still don't think. I'm not sold on Steve Alford yet. So we'll see what happens.
The jury is out. There's no question about it. And you're right. I thought that the Bruins beat some teams that we didn't expect them to beat and lost to some teams that you didn't expect them to lose. And I thought they were pretty much outclassed in their matchups with the USC Trojans this past year.
Yes, absolutely. But again, they look like the best team in the country when they beat Kentucky. Kentucky usually goes on these long runs against any team, whether they win or lose. But they only got, I think, throughout the game, they only scored 5 points in a row, maybe 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Otherwise, that defense by UCLA was just stout, and I for sure thought that they were going to make it to the tournament and do really well. But that was their tournament win right there.
Yeah, well, hey, the Bruins need more talent, need more depth, and they can't keep playing the coach's son, every minute, every game.
He needs to graduate.
There's a good thought right there. Right, lots to talk about. Larry Burnett here with Eric Geller. Our phone number 909-888-5222 if you'd like to be a part of our program. Coming up a little bit later in the show, Phi Slamma Jamma alum Clyde Drexler will join us. And up next after the break, the man who won 3 NCAA hoop titles at UConn, Jim Calhoun, will join us to talk Final Four here on Open Season. So stay with us.
9MD Beverly Hills provides skincare solutions for patients undergoing cancer treatments. Personalized treatment regimens are initiated to achieve optimum remission states in those dealing with cancer. The IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial at 9MD Beverly Hills safely offers hope and relief for those challenged with the side effects and repercussions of intense cancer treatments such as radiation and chemotherapy. Rejuvenate, replenish, and soothe your skin. Let our certified technicians at Nina MD Beverly Hills safely and effectively heal your skin with our IS Clinical products that are pharmaceutical grade, botanically based, paraben free, and do not enter the bloodstream. Enjoy a day of pampering and revitalize your skin with Nina MD Beverly Hills and our IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial for just $179. Each patient will receive a complimentary gift bag for take-home care. For more information, please call 310-777-7511 or visit us at www.ninamd.com. That's www.ninamd.com.
Have you ever gone to use a flashlight and the batteries were dead or the inside of the flashlight corroded, only having to throw it away? Or in a location where you had no way to charge your cell phone or camera? Well, all that has changed. Now there's Hybrid Light. The Hybrid Light brings the best of both worlds together with a strong 160 lumen LED light that lasts 12 hours on a single charge, and after a recharge from any light or power source, you're ready to go again. Hybrid Light lasts 7 long years and is even waterproof, and also contains a USB port to plug in your cell phone or camera to give you that special charge when you're not near an outlet. All this for the low price of $39.95 with promo code GARY. Call 1-800-297-8109 and be the first to have this great tool, or go to our website, hybridlight.com. That's 800-297-8109 or hybridlight.com, hybridlight.com, and don't forget to use promo code GARY.
If you're trying to prevent home foreclosure, you need a law firm with extensive experience representing clients in protecting their homes from foreclosure. The Goodman Law Firm is a nationwide team of mortgage mitigation attorneys that provides legal advice and expertise you can trust. Our nationwide network includes local of-counsel foreclosure attorneys to represent you during the mortgage mitigation process. The Goodman firm has represented homeowners across the nation in resolving their troubled mortgages. We have the experience and the knowledge you can count on to best represent your interests. The banks have attorneys fighting to protect their interests, and so should you. Call the Goodman Law Firm at 888-800-6030. Take control of your mortgage situation today. Contact us at 888-800-6030 or through our website at arnoldgoodmanlaw.com.
Welcome back once again to Open Season. Larry Burnett here with Eric Geller. Our phone number 909-888-5222. We'd love to have you be a part of our program. We were talking about USC a little bit earlier. They lost 3 players in a week to transfer, and the big guy we were talking about was Caton Reinhardt along the way. We're on Open Season. I'm in Houston. Eric Geller back in Los Angeles, talking Final Four. And, hey, Jim Calhoun knows his way around the Final Four. He took 4 UConn teams to that event. He won the national championship 3 times with the Huskies. And then after Calhoun retired, his handpicked successor, Kevin Ollie, won another national title back in 2014. I got a chance to ask Coach Calhoun for his thoughts on this weekend's Final Four.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a lot of different things. And, as we get down this chaotic time of year, you start November off and everybody thinks they're going to win every game, and that gets dissipated pretty quickly. And then you go through the preseason, it's kind of nice, and then conference season. And then the madness begins starting in March, and it really is madness. And I think that I think it may be a tad more madness right now because we certainly don't have any dominant teams, so it's been crazy. I'm on my way to Houston tomorrow morning, and looking forward to it.
It's going to be an interesting weekend. There's no question about that. As a guy who has been to the Final Four 4 times, can you put into words for our listeners what the intensity is like, what the difference is between the regular season and getting down to that final weekend?
Yeah, I look at it 3 stages. First stage, you got to celebrate what Jimmy did from Syracuse, Boeheim, and certainly Jay Wright, and the best team probably in this particular point in time to make shots is Carolina and Roy.
Yeah.
And obviously going further, what those guys did, they got to make sure that the kids understand this is pretty special. It doesn't automatically come no matter what kind of team you have asked Michigan State that. And I know companies feel that way. So bottom line, celebrate. You got to go to that tournament celebrating the idea of what you did. Then the careful balance is making sure those 150 cousins who you never knew about are asking for tickets. make sure someone else handles that. And try to celebrate and yet start to slowly, surely build for a 3-team tournament. By that I mean, we know who we're going to play, obviously, on Saturday, and we're going to play one of 2 teams on Monday. And we need to make sure that we hit the points. For example, if you feel you got to hit some press breaking because we Syracuse did.
Yeah.
You got to hit some multiple pressure half court and if you're going to play Villanova. You got to make sure that you box out because the size of Carolina is great. So all the teams have different things they can work on, but make sure you celebrate the accomplishment. Make sure you feel good about it. We only have so many times in our life that we can accomplish something that's great. And no one's going to remember who finishes third, fourth, or even second. Only that's the chance. Let's play the best 40 minutes we can.
Talking with Jim Calhoun, and he comes to us courtesy of Dove Men Plus Care. Jim, as you look at the 4 teams that are still remaining, which team do you think is playing the best right now?
Well, the team that is the best is North Carolina. If North Carolina makes shots, and that's been the Achilles heel at times, and obviously playing a 2-3 zone that does a good job of contesting those shots, Carolina is the best team, in my opinion, personnel-wise. Second team that's playing the best is probably such a toss between these two. Oklahoma going over, and Syracuse has made a late third and found ways to win. So I think Carolina going in has to be somewhat the favorite. I think it's almost a toss-up between Oklahoma and Villanova, and I think Jimmy and the Syracuse Orange have shown they can beat anybody, and they just have, by the way.
Are you surprised at all by what Syracuse has accomplished, or does nothing surprise you from Jim Boeheim these days?
Nothing is surprising about Jim Boeheim. But nothing really surprising in basketball. You know what? The great teams where you had 5 or 6 NBA players on your roster, we had that in 204, and had 3 or 4 of them, the 3 NBA guards on a team in 11.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen much anymore. And experienced players, deep players. Therefore, I don't think it's a great team, but it's an awfully good one. As I said, led right now by Carolina. I love the way Jimmy's team came back with the pressure and the poise. But in Oklahoma, Buddy Baskets is pretty special.
Yeah.
Buddy Baskets to me, that's my nickname for him because he's that good. Willie Cousins, terrific. And Villanova is a great story, I think. No one plays harder than Villanova. They have multiple defense to make it so much more interesting. One thing I'd say, tying up, we're talking about Dove a little bit, is the campaign that I'm involved with Kerry Ollie, one of my former assistants, now the head coach at UConn, and former player. It's simply about the structure of teams. You know, the strength of the team is the bonds. Well, we're seeing that in this tournament. Think about yourself as you saw the end of these games, the incredible relationship between coach, players, assistant coaches. Everybody's so united. The strength of those teams are emotional as much as they are physical.
Well, that's what the Dove Men Plus Care campaign is all about, the bonds of real strength, and it's men and March Madness and the whole thing. And I love seeing these commercials with you and Kevin Ollie. And I don't know if you know, but Kevin actually interned with me at Prime Ticket when he was going to UConn. He was working with us during the summer. He's a great guy, and I want to know what it was like for you to hand over the keys to the city to Kevin and then see him turn that into a championship so quickly.
Well, like all hopefully good fathers, or surrogate fathers in this case, I felt pride. You know, I felt a lot of elation, pride in what Kevin was doing. I always thought he was a special guy, and you know, the entire staff is the guys who played for me at UConn. So it's a very special time. And with Kevin, I knew at worst Kevin would be awfully good. And he's been better than that. At worst, he'd be very good because he's got all the components in our relationship, as it has been with some other guys I've coached, very, very special. And I think we understood, Kevin and I did, just how important those bonds became in coaching, how they became in life. You know, basketball games are difficult. Life is more. Someone once said to me, I had a great deal of plans, so life got in the way. Well, it does. And I just think that's the things you learn from sport, how to deal with everyday, life situations. And very simply, you know, if you wake up every day, you know, you need to get accomplished. Good things happen out of that.
You got that right. Talking to Jim Calhoun, was in 4 Final Fours, won 3 NCAA national championships. Can you describe, Coach, what it's like once you've gotten your win in the Final Four, and then you've got that short window to get ready for the championship game on Monday night?
You know, mine was anticipation. Nerves. I was just very calm. I knew we were really good. All those times I knew we were very good. All 4 times I thought we could win it. It's going to be hard, but we could win it. But I really believed that we had some special intrinsic value to our team. And I just think those roughly 36, 48 hours, whatever time you get off the floor, very, very special, and you're doing it once again. You're talking about 40 minutes from something that no one could ever take away from you, and we can't be overprepared. We only can do what we can do, but we're going to do it to the best of our ability. We're going to know our team to the best of our ability. In life, if you show up prepared, and then react well to it, that's what you have to do, and that's what I try to do for the next 48 hours.
Jim Calhoun is with us on Open Season, and I have to ask you about the UConn women's team because they are so good. They're being criticized for being too good and being not good for the women's game. Gino's got a dynasty going over there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, he shouldn't ever have to apologize for greatness. They're great, and they're not good. They're great. Probably the best women's basketball program. They win 4 straight titles. Incredible. But if you tune in 61-12 at halftime, it's difficult. I mean, not for me because I know the kids and they're wonderful kids and a special degree of program. I guess the only thing overall, they should never ever apologize for being great. And it's not their fault, by the way. They're not working, outplaying other folks. But on the other side, you can see a little bit saying, well, you don't know the competition. As far as those kids at UConn and Gino and company, they should never apologize for being great.
All right, let me put you on the spot before I let you go. We're talking to Jim Calhoun. We got Oklahoma-Villanova this weekend. We got North Carolina and Syracuse. Who do you like going to the championship game, and who do you like winning it all, Coach?
Well, yeah, I think it's very tight. The Oklahoma, certainly the Oklahoma game and the in Villanova is toss-up. I'm going to give the slight edge just because a couple of defensive stops to Villanova and because they're from a Big East team. And the second one, if Carolina makes packets, they will win their game. They'll be very tough against that 2-3 zone of Jimmy's. And then I think, once again, that Carolina will win the championship.
And there you have it. That is Coach Jim Calhoun. He certainly knows his way around the Final Four and the national championship. As a matter of fact, this guy is in great company. He's in company with John Wooden, Adolph Rupp, Bob Knight, and Mike Krzyzewski. Those are the only coaches to win at least 3 NCAA basketball championships. So that is really, really good company. And, he makes a good point. You're going to see Syracuse in that zone. They do come out of it from time to time. But if they stay in that zone and North Carolina is hitting their outside shots, listen, I think the key to this whole weekend is if UNC can play their game and hit their shots. If they do, I think they win the national championship. But you got that zone from Syracuse, and you got that tenacious defense that Villanova plays. We'll see them against Oklahoma. By the way, Coach Calhoun made available to our program by Dove Men Plus Care. Go to dovemencare.com to see more Bonds of Real Strength stories from the tournament. And, we talked about the UConn women, and Gino Auriemma has definitely got a dynasty there with the Huskies. Brianna Stewart and company. They are just fantastic, and they're almost too good, some people say. And they get blowout games, and they're not fun to watch. And even Jim Calhoun said that he understands that people don't like to see those kind of games. But you don't criticize a program for being too good. If you're not good enough, then get better. Find ways to get the recruits that UConn gets. Build a better program. Listen, when the Yankees were winning everything, nobody liked it, but nobody said, well, they should back off a little bit. When UCLA was winning all the championships in college basketball, you don't criticize them because they're good. If you don't like the fact that you're getting whooped by these teams, get better. Make your teams better. Find out what the secret is and do it. It's not easy, and you don't do it overnight. You don't all of a sudden become competitive, but hey, you don't criticize a program because they're exceptional. You don't like it, get your program in gear and make them competitive and find a way to do it. But, there's something wrong with our country and our world if we're criticizing people because they've gotten too good. I'm sorry, the idea is to be the best. And if you don't like it, if you're not one of the best, then you find a way to get out there and be one of the best and get competitive. All right, we're going to hook up with Eric Geller here in just a little bit. And a little bit later, I'll talk Final Four here in Houston with Clyde the Glide Drexler. But up next, Open Season, we'll talk professional basketball. Blake Griffin coming back. The Kobe countdown continues. And what the heck was D'Angelo Russell thinking about? Stay tuned.
If you're trying to prevent home foreclosure, you need a law firm with extensive experience representing clients in protecting their homes from foreclosure. The Goodman Law Firm is a nationwide team of mortgage mitigation attorneys that provides legal advice and expertise you can trust. Our nationwide network includes local of-counsel foreclosure attorneys to represent you during the mortgage mitigation process. The Goodman firm has represented homeowners across the nation in resolving their troubled mortgages. We have the experience and the knowledge you can count on to best represent your interests. The banks have attorneys fighting to protect their interests, and so should you. Call the Goodman Law Firm at 888-800-6030. Take control of your mortgage situation today. Contact us at 888-800-6030 or through our website at arnoldgoodmanlaw.com.
Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511. Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511.
Welcome back to Open Season, everybody. Glad to have you with us on Thursday afternoon. I'm Larry Burnett down in Houston, Texas for the Final Four. And Eric Geller holding down the fort back in Southern California for us. Boy, the Lakers, just when you think this season couldn't get a whole lot worse, D'Angelo Russell decides to surreptitiously record a conversation with Nick Young that talks about infidelity, and somehow, miraculously, it ends up on the internet. Eric, what the heck was this guy thinking?
Here's my thoughts on this. Is when you have kids that are in college and they only play a year. He was 19 years old. He just turned 20. He's really immature. And to have that kind of a maturity level and play on a team like the Lakers, which is one of the hugest sports brands, and it's probably obviously a top 3 sports brand in the world. You cannot do that. So that has a lot. That says a lot about the system they have, where kids can come out after one season in college and go right to the pros, or even come right out of high school and go to the pros. And I think this is really bad. I don't know how long D'Angelo Russell will be a Laker. If he's there, if he's traded during the off season, but this is not good.
Well, listen, I don't think he's going anywhere. I really don't. I think he's too good. I think they've made too much of an investment in him. I think he's part of their future. My guess is that Nick Young is the guy who's not going to be around much longer, and they'll brush some of this stuff under the carpet. But I have to tell you, Eric, I'm tired of hearing youth as an excuse for stupidity. This guy was able to get through high school, spent a little bit of time in college. He used his talent to get to the NBA. Okay, listen, I understand. I did stupid things when I was 19. I still do stupid things. But come on, 19, 20 years old, you don't understand that you don't secretly tape a conversation with one of your teammates, and everybody's saying, well, how did it get on the internet? How else did it get on the internet? He was hacked. What was hacked? What his phone was hacked? Come on. This is just the ultimate stupidity. And not only is it stupid and irresponsible, but he could have ruined the life of Nick Young. Listen, Nick Young, stupid enough to go out and be unfaithful to his fiancée, Iggy Azalea, even more stupid to talk about it. But listen, guys talk about all kinds of things in locker rooms, and they just don't ever expect that it's going to be recorded by a teammate. Now, I do media training sessions. I've done a lot of them with NBA teams, and I constantly say, listen, you always have to think that the microphone is on if the media is there. Everybody's got a phone now. They could be recording you. They could be taking pictures. You have to be on your guard. But you don't think you have to be on your guard with your own teammates, do you?
I don't. Well, look,
it's a completely different culture. Professional sports, especially the people that play in them, it's a completely different culture, and they live by their own rules, and they think they can get away with anything. And for me, this is a college.
Well, we had him there for a second.
All of a sudden, you give this kid that's 19 years old, and you give him a multi-million-dollar deal. He's got a lot of money in his pocket. He's never had that kind of money. Doesn't know what to do with it. Doesn't know how to act. There needs to be a course in college for these guys that helps them, move them along in the process of having a lot of money in your bank account, and especially if you're in the public eye, and what you're going to look forward to or not look forward to, and things that you probably don't want to do or want to do. And especially in this day and age with social media, it was completely different when we did stupid things when we were 19 back then, because really we had no social media. We had to throw those little notes in class to do stupid things. But it's a completely different animal now, and instantly, any mistake you make, it's on the internet and everybody sees it, and that's a problem, and that's got to be taught to these kids that come out of high school and college and go to the pros and make millions of dollars instantly.
Well, listen, I agree that times have changed, but back when I was 19 making mistakes, they didn't have cell phones. You just hoped that somebody wasn't walking past the dormitory at the wrong time.
Sure.
But listen, there are courses. The NBA has a rookie seminar that they put together for these guys to tell them about the distractions and all the things that can get in the way. They don't stay in college long enough to take a course on how to live your life. And listen, none of us had courses in college that told us how to live our life. I'm tired of the irresponsibility and the excuse being I'm young. Get over it. Take responsibility for your own actions and stop trying to screw over your own teammates. These are people you work with. This is your first year in the league. You've done nothing. You've accomplished nothing other than the fact that you disrupted your whole team and look like a real fool. Now, listen, he's taken responsibility. He's apologized. I give him credit for that, and I give the Lakers credit. I mean, they came out and beat the Miami Heat yesterday and did okay in the process. I'm watching this Kobe countdown, Eric, and I've said many times on this show, it's painful to watch this guy play. I saw him when he came into the league. I can't tell you how many hundreds of his games. I'm looking forward to it all being over. I wonder what his thought process is right now.
Well, they gave him a lot of money, and they basically, mortgaged their future of the team with giving him that contract and letting him play. He didn't ask for the money, and if someone's going to give you that kind of money, you're not going to say no usually. So they're in a lot of trouble, and this season has just been very difficult to watch. There were a couple games where he's played extremely well, where he looked like the Kobe of old, but it was so brief that, the next game he's either not playing or he's playing 9 minutes and doesn't score anything and doesn't do anything. And it's really bad for the fans because they don't know whether he's going to play or not, although he has said that he's going to play the remainder of the schedule. Well, he didn't play that much yesterday. He might not play the next game. So it's really difficult because these kids are having a tough time learning how to play NBA basketball, which obviously evidenced by what D'Angelo did yesterday or this week. But it's just it's just a throwaway season, and it's really too bad because people are paying a lot of money to see these guys play.
Well, listen, they knew the team was going to be bad. I don't think they knew how much Kobe was going to play. I give him credit for playing as much as he has. My understanding is that his shoulder is really bad, and he probably shouldn't be playing much at all. But he'll play out the string, and he'll make some appearances and do what he does. But can't wait for this season to be over. I'm one of those people. Listen, they gave him $24 million a year. I call it loyalty, and I still think there's a place for loyalty in business, in life, and in sports. And for all he did for that franchise, I don't have a problem with them paying him the big bucks. Now, they've got to deal with the fallout and the fact that it really handcuffed them as far as getting free agents and things like that. But I think that's going to change this summer. We got another guy coming back from injury this weekend in Blake Griffin. Clippers have done pretty well without him, and they don't have a whole lot of time to get him acclimated into their program once again before they hit the playoffs. How do you think they're going to react?
This is a great case of almost, it's like a trade at the end of the year. They're getting 23 points and 12 rebounds a game all of a sudden out of nowhere. And they played extremely well without him. I think they're 30-14 without Blake in the lineup. And to get him back, like I said, it's like trading for an all-star, and you don't have to give anything away. You just add him to the lineup. He knows all the plays already, and he's been watching, what they've been doing without him. And hopefully, like you said, he can acclimate himself to his teammates now the way they're playing, and vice versa. Because without Blake in the lineup, you've got Cole Aldrich that's played a huge role. I mean, he's going to give them a lot during the playoffs off the bench. All these guys off the bench have been playing extremely well, and I think that's going to benefit them in the long run. And I think with Blake back, he's going to have about 7 games to go before the playoffs, and I think he'll be in shape and he'll be ready to go.
Listen, he's a plus, and he's healthy, and he's fresh, and he gives them a starter, which gives them more depth with the guys coming off the bench, as you mentioned. My question is, can they put it all together this year? Because they've got the weapons, they got more depth than they've had in a long, long time. They just seem to have a tough time getting over the fact that they're the Clippers, and they're still the Clippers until they win something and get something done. How about those Warriors, though? Huh? They had to go to overtime the other night, and they're still on pace to break the Bulls' record.
You know what? It's going to be really hard to think about this Warriors team if they get beaten in a 7-game series by a team like San Antonio, or maybe even the Clippers. But they're incredible to watch. They're fun to watch. And for me, Steph Curry is like a Harlem Globetrotter just having his way against the best players in the world. And he's sitting there doing this while he's chewing on his mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Whenever he's running around and he's doing what he's doing, he's like Marcus Haynes with the basketball, playing against the best players in the world, and there's nothing they can do about him. And they're fun to watch. It's entertainment, and I'm entertained anytime I see them play, whether it's against the Lakers, the Clippers, or anybody. They're pretty fun to watch. And hopefully they'll go far, but maybe someone from LA can stop them. You never know. A 7-game series is a lot different than playing a team once every month and a half. So we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you what, I would love to see a 7-game series with the Spurs and the Warriors. I just think that would be a battle royal and so much fun to watch. And I talked to Clyde Drexler here in Houston earlier today, and we'll hear from him in just a little bit. But we talked about Steph Curry, and he said he loves to watch the guy play. And he said, you know what, the guy who plays next to him, Klay Thompson, is just as good. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back. When we continue, we'll come back to Houston and talk Final Four with one of basketball's all-time greats. Good guy, too. Clyde the Glide Drexler, next on Open Season.
If you're trying to prevent home foreclosure, you need a law firm with extensive experience representing clients in protecting their homes from foreclosure. The Goodman Law Firm is a nationwide team of mortgage mitigation attorneys that provides legal advice and expertise you can trust. Our nationwide network includes local of-counsel foreclosure attorneys to represent you during the mortgage mitigation process. The Goodman firm has represented homeowners across the nation in resolving their troubled mortgages. We have the experience and the knowledge you can count on to best represent your interests. The banks have attorneys fighting to protect their interests, and so should you. Call the Goodman Law Firm at 888-800-6030. Take control of your mortgage situation today. Contact us at 888-800-6030 or through our website at arnoldgoodmanlaw.com.
9MD Beverly Hills provides skincare solutions for patients undergoing cancer treatments. Personalized treatment regimens are initiated to achieve optimum remission states in those dealing with cancer. The IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial at 9MD Beverly Hills safely offers hope and relief for those challenged with the side effects and repercussions of intense cancer treatments such as radiation and chemotherapy. Rejuvenate, replenish, and soothe your skin. Let our certified technicians at 9MD Beverly Hills safely and effectively heal your skin with our IS Clinical products that are pharmaceutical grade, botanically based, paraben free, and do not enter the bloodstream. Enjoy a day of pampering and revitalize your skin with 9MD Beverly Hills and our IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial for just $179. Each patient will receive a complimentary gift bag for take-home care. For more information, please call 310-777-7511 or visit us at www.9amd.com. That's www.nainamd.com.
Back once again here on Open Season. Glad to have you with us. I'm Larry Burnett in Houston. Eric Geller back in Los Angeles. Di Rice in our KCAA studios running the controls for us. We're going to hear from Clyde Drexler here in just a little bit. We want to talk some baseball first. Hard to believe, and man, it's about time. Opening day coming up this weekend, and we're looking at the Dodgers, Eric, opening up Monday at San Diego with 3 games. We know we've got Clayton Kershaw. What else do we know about this Dodger team?
Your guess is as good as mine. I know they got a pitcher from Japan, Kenta Maeda.
He looked good in preseason.
He did, but he apparently he has shoulder and elbow problems, and we'll see what happens, because you know what happens with that. If something goes wrong right away, they're done. They really have, the sabermetrics and the analytics. I don't get it, because it really doesn't say anything about heart for a person that pitches or plays any position in baseball or any sport. But I'm clueless to find out. I think they're just trying to lose salary and lower their salary. I feel bad, because you don't want to waste Clayton Kershaw. Some of his best years, he could be done soon. The way he works that arm, and you got to get that guy into a World Series and give him a shot at winning a ring. And I'm just afraid that that's not going to happen in the near future with the way they're going, unless they might make some trades during the season. And so hopefully maybe they can get someone, but I don't see where they go after the number 1 starter, especially with Hyun-Jin Ryu. Hyun-Jin Ryu was playing very well until he hurt his shoulder, but he hasn't been in a year, so we don't know anything about him either at this point.
And they're not expecting him back until probably June. And how much do you think Dodger fans are going to be looking south to Arizona to see what Zach Greinke does this year?
That team down there is dangerous, because offensively they're really good, and then you've got Greinke, and they have some other. They have a pretty decent pitching staff. I think it's better than the Dodgers. I told someone, it's going to be hard for the Dodgers to stay out of the cellar or maybe even third place, to get to third place. Wow. The way they're constructed right now, because they've got some older guys. You don't know what you're going to get out of Yasiel Puig. Ethier's hurt. You've got Van Slyke that plays, and you've got Agon, but what do you have after that? Carl Crawford is overpaid, and what else do you have? So It's kind of a crapshoot for the Dodgers this year. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Well, and then Kendrick is starting off with a bad calf, and Seager's coming back from injury. I like this guy Culberson, who filled in for him during spring training. I think they got some nice depth there in the infield. But listen, they've got 3 games against San Diego, at San Diego, then 4 games at San Francisco, 3 games against Arizona, and then 3 games against the Giants. They have 7 of their first 13 games against the Giants, Eric.
They could be 6 or 7 games out of first place after 3 weeks in the season. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's kind of scary. You just don't know what you're going to get from this team now because they're just walking on eggshells, and their pitchers have eggshells for arms except for Clayton Kershaw.
It was almost like they didn't want to sign anybody unless they had a history of injury, but that's another story we can talk about. And by the way, they're not on TV, so we'll continue with that diatribe as well. The Angels open Monday against the Cubs. A lot of people think the Cubs could win it all this year. They'll play a couple of games, then 4 games against Texas. Then they go on the road for 3 games. They'll be at Oakland. It's part of a 10-game road trip that'll take them to Minnesota and Chicago. I worked in Minnesota for several years. You don't want to go to Minnesota at this time of year. You don't want to go to Chicago. What are the schedule guys thinking of? Let Minnesota and Chicago come to Southern California in April and then go up there in July. Yeah. I don't get this.
I don't either, but I'll tell you, I think the Angels pitching staff, a lot of people aren't even talking about the Angels, but I think their pitching staff might be a little bit better off than the Dodgers at this point. You've got Garrett Richards. You've got Jared Weaver, hopefully, who can come back. He's never going to be the hard thrower that he was, but he's got other pitches. And then you've got guys like Matt Shoemaker in there, and you've got the other kid that was out and had Tommy John surgery, and the way they do Tommy John surgery now, you never know. So I think they're more solid in pitching than the Dodgers are. And then you've got the best player in baseball, and Mike Trout, and he's just incredible to watch. And Albert Pujols, if he's all right, if he just plays DH and he can hit the ball and plays first base every once in a while and just play the way he can. He played very well last year. Who knows what this team can do? They still don't have the left field. They didn't answer the question about left field. They don't have a left fielder out there, so they're going to have to do that by committee, the left field position.
Yeah, this guy Nava looked good in spring training. I don't know if he's a long-term answer or not. And I like Simmons, on the left side of the infield over there. I think he'll be good for them defensively. But there's just a lot of question marks about these two teams, and I don't know if we're going to get any good answers along the way. No. Let's get back to the Final Four here just a little bit, since I'm hanging out in Houston and got to talk to Clyde Drexler today. Saturday, Oklahoma and Villanova, and then Syracuse and North Carolina. Clyde Drexler, he knows all about the Final Fours. His University of Houston team, they lost to North Carolina in 1982 in the finals. And then they got shocked by Jim Valvano's North Carolina State team that very next year. I got a chance to talk with Clyde earlier today here in Houston. All right, Mr. Drexler, we're here in Houston, and the Final Four is here in Houston. So what are you thinking? Who comes out of Saturday's games and who wins it all on Monday night?
Well, for the most part, some great teams. Obviously, they're all excited to be here, but you never know who's going to win. But hopefully the best team will win.
Well, everybody seems to think it's been a wide-open tournament this year, and I don't know that anybody feels there's an odds-on favorite to win it all. There's some teams playing really well, though.
I think every team that's in the tournament is playing extremely well, and again, that's what makes it so intriguing. No one knows who's really going to win. Mm-hmm. There are no odds-on favorite like there have been in years past, teams that everyone thinks is going to just run through the other team. And even sometimes that comes out in being an upset. So what you have to do is just be patient, check out every game, and enjoy them.
All right, talking with Clyde Drexler here in Houston. Let's break them down. Oklahoma, Villanova. Oklahoma's got Heald. He may be the best player in the game right now. Villanova's got a defense that may be second to none right now.
Yeah, Oklahoma's got the real star. So if it comes down to money time, he's going to shine in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. You don't want that to happen if you're Villanova. You want to control the game, get a consistent lead, and maintain it.
Now, UNC and Syracuse. A lot of people feel if UNC plays their game, they're the team to beat, but Syracuse seems to find ways to beat teams they're not supposed to beat, Clyde.
Syracuse is not supposed to be here. No one picked them. They're a surprise team, but I think North Carolina and Roy Williams, they're just consistent. They're steady, and they're going to be hard to beat.
All right, so you're kind of riding the fence on who's going to end up in Monday night's game, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. After years of going to Final Fours and trying to see who's going to win, I think the best case for me is to just give all 4 teams credit. Mm-hmm. And it's all in a one-and-done scenario. It's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that plays well that day.
Yeah, you got that right.
So we don't know who that's going to be. The star for Villanova or Syracuse may have a stomachache. Well, that'll greatly decrease their chances. So anything can happen.
When you think back to your Final Four experiences, what pops out in your head, Clyde?
Oh, just an absolute fun time. The last days of your college career, Obviously, when you play high-level college basketball, the intensity is great. It was the beginning of the ESPN era, and it didn't get any better.
It didn't always end up well for your Houston squads. And every time I turn around, especially this time of year, I'm seeing Jimmy Valvano running around after that miracle shot that beat your Houston Cougars. Have you gotten over that yet?
You get over it right away because,
Really?
Even though that was a historic game, but University of Houston, Phi Slamma Jamma, made it to the Final Four 3 straight years. No one had done that since John Wooden era.
Yeah.
So that was a phenomenal achievement. But at the same time, like I say, sometimes the best team don't even get there, let alone play for the title. And so we got there. We ended up not winning, but Guy Lewis and those teams were some of the best college basketball I've ever been around. And, of course, our show was like being with the Beatles. Right. We had the greatest show on earth. And even though we didn't win, people knew who the best team was. I mean, as a basketball player, your love of the game translates. When we lost that game, I was thinking about now it's time to fry some bigger fish. It's time for the NBA, and actually now it's time to get paid. Exactly. So that game was good. The memory of that game was gone the minute the time went off.
Oh, yeah. And did you hear Clyde in there say, we may not have won the game, but everybody knew who the best team was. And that Houston team with Olajuwon and Drexler and Young and Michaud, they were something to watch, no question about it. By the way, Clyde Drexler made available to us for our program by Dove Men Plus Care. Go to dovemencare.com to see more Bonds of Real Strength stories from the tournament. Well, Clyde kind of sat on the fence as to who's going to win this thing, but I'm going to go. I'm going to get off of Oklahoma. I'm going to go with Villanova for the defense. I'm going to put UNC and Villanova in the championship game on Monday night. And I'm going with the Tar Heels to win it all. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the same thing, and I hope, and possibly maybe with that defense that Villanova has, and of course UNC plays pretty good defense as well, maybe we'll get an overtime game and a buzzer beater of some sort. That would be fun, especially with Villanova and North Carolina. But I've got to go with North Carolina. That front line, those guys are seniors, and they're just ready to rock and roll, and Roy Williams will have them ready.
I just hope we have a good game, that's for sure. Just a couple minutes left here with Eric Geller on Open Season. Kings going against Calgary tonight, and man, they were for a while, longest time they were up on top of the Pacific, and the Ducks were chasing them, and now they flip-flop and just 1 point separating the two teams from Southern California.
It's going to be crazy like that until the final game of the season, I think, and they're both playing so well that hopefully down the line they'll meet late in the Western Conference playoffs and maybe for a shot at the Stanley Cup to get into the Stanley Cup Finals. They're both playing extremely well. You've got two great goalkeepers. Jonathan Quick's probably the best in the league right now. And they play Calgary tonight, and Anaheim beat them, I think, 8-2 last night. So my phone was pinging a lot because of all those scores the Ducks were getting. So we'll see what happens tonight. But, it's going to go down to the wire, and it'll be for home ice advantage if they should meet in a playoff series, I think. And I think they just might meet all the way down in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, that'll be fun. The Ducks have Vancouver tomorrow night, and then it could be the pivotal game. The Kings will host the Ducks on April 7th. I got about 20 seconds here. I know you're working with the LA Kiss and Arena Football League, and Gene Simmons and company involved. Give us a quick thumbnail.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it's more about the show and not about the football. For the first 2 seasons, they were terrible, and you go in there, it's like being in a rock concert. So hopefully this year, the third year's the charm, and the football will be as good as the concert itself. And Kiss will be playing live. They play Jacksonville in the opener on Saturday night, and I think they'll play at halftime and after the game. So they did that for all the season ticket holders.
First concert I ever took my daughter to was Kiss. Hey, Eric, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks to Clyde Drexler and Jim Calhoun. I'm Larry Burnett. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 3:05 when we'll talk baseball, hoops, the Masters, and Santa Anita right here on Open Season. Until then, try to have some fun, everybody.
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? What good is what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laugh? Are you getting any love?
You're listening to KCAA, Loma Linda, California. The best station in the nation.
Radio. California lawmakers have approved a plan that will gradually increase the statewide minimum wage to $15 an hour over the next 6 years, the highest minimum scale in the U.S. The measure will head to Governor Jerry Brown's office. He's expected to sign it into law on Monday.